Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will retelling long story Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. The long story begins in the fictional town of Leubronn, Germany. Daniel is both attracted and repulsed by Gwendoline Howlett, a beautiful young woman with a gambling problem. Gwendoline finds out the night after losing her personal saving in a game of roulette that her family is financially ruined. She founds a necklace, considering using the money to gamble further in the hope of remaking her fortune and saving her family. A servant delivers her recently sold necklace back to her, and Gwendolyn understands that Daniel saw her pawn it and repurchased it for her. The book then places back here. In the wake of her stepfather's death, Gwendolyn's family relocates. In her new neighborhood, she meets Henley Malinger Grandcourt, who quickly proposes to her. Henley is a laconic and unfriendly man, but because of his great fortune, Gwendolyn considers his advances until she learns of his mistress and illegitimate children from his mistress Lydia herself. Fleeing town, she meets Daniel, the charge of another very wealthy gentleman, the Englishman Sir Hugo Mellinger. Daniel is widely suspected to be Sir Hugo's son, but no one, including Daniel, is sure of this. Sir Hugo and Daniel are close. Sir Hugo wishes Daniel to go into politics, but Daniel, a bright and kindly young man, isn't sure what he wants to do with his life. While boating on the Thames in the summer of 1865, Daniel prevents a young woman Mira Lavidot from committing suicide. He learns that the Jewish girl is a singer and had come to London after discovering that her father intended to sell her into prostitution. She wants to find her mother and brother, who she thinks live in London. Daniel resolves to help her find her family. As it turns out, her mother is dead, but by helping Mira, Daniel becomes acquainted with London's Jewish community. He also begins to develop feelings for Mira which dismay him, so he attempts to flee them by returning for a time back to Leubronn. The story returns to the present time. Gwendolen, destitute, unmarried, and unwilling to marry, is considering become a governess. However, doing so would lower her social position and she doesn't want that either. She decides she will try a career on stage, but her hopes are quickly dashed by a popular musician who informs her that she doesn't have the chops or the discipline. With no other option available, she agrees to marry Henley, even though she had early promised his mistress she would not. Meanwhile, Daniel returns to helping Mira. They meet Mordecai, a sickly but affectionate man who hopes to see his fellow Jews recover their promised land. Daniel is moved and convinced by Mordecai, who wants Daniel to carry on his teaching after he dies. But Daniel is torn by the prospects since he himself is not Jewish. The situation becomes even more fraught for Daniel when Mordecai is revealed as Mira's long lost brother. Gwendolyn's hopes of being able to make her new husband her puppet turn out to be woefully overblown. She is also cursed by Lydia on her wedding day, which fills her with dread. She meets regularly with Daniel, using him for the emotional support she cannot get from anyone else in her life. One day, during a trip to Italy, Henley is knocked off his boat. Gwendolyn, who has many times wished for his death, hesitates over whether to jump in after him. Eventually, she does, but it's too late. Afterward, she is racked with guilt. As has become her own, she turns to Daniel, who is also coincidentally in Italy, for comfort. Daniel is in Italy because Sir Hugo has finally told him that his mother lives there and he wants to find her. Quentin falls in love with Daniel and hopes they will be able to be together, but Daniel instead counsels her to dedicate herself to helping others. Daniel learns that his mother is a former famous opera singer. She is also, as it turns out, Jewish. She was forced to marry a man she did not love by her father, and when he died, she asked Sir Hugo, who was in love with her, to raise Daniel as an English gentleman to save him the severity of her own religious upbringing. Learning of his heritage makes Daniel finally feel at ease with his love for Mira. He returns to England and Mira and becomes Mordecai's situation to her. Distraught, Gwendolyn resolves that from the point forward she shall live. On his wedding day, Daniel receives a letter from her telling him that she has become a better son because of his counsel and asking him never to think of her sadly. Daniel, Mira, and Mordecai then prepare for their journey east to the promised land. Before they can leave, Mordecai dies surrounded by his family. Maybe that's all for me. Thank you.